Will there be a Q&A?
Yes, it will be. Yes.
Okay.
In 2 minutes.
Beautiful job.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Beautiful job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amazing.
Join me in welcoming to the stage Milad Hamshi, joined by Raisa Hammoud.
Hey. Remind me of Derek Luke.
I'll give everyone a moment to catch their breaths. We will take some questions from the audience, but I'd love to begin by starting here. Ibrahima, I don't know how many times you've seen the film so far, but I'd love to hear your reactions after your screening here in North America for the first time.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Thank you. Thank you.
Milad, you spoke in the beginning about seeking through many people before you made this film. Could you tell us first how this story began for you?
Yeah, it was 2018 that I got really interested in this phenomenon of riders, you know, the guys that they made the delivery. It was, at least in Italy, it was in the beginning, you know, of that this phenomenon. So for a whole summer, I went, I shadowed a young Senegalese rider. I went to do all the deliveries, the waitings and laundries and everything. And it was interesting for me, I mean, who did this job, you know what I mean? The Italians that were maybe at their last stop, and some immigrants. And also it was interesting because it's kind of a job that is almost without any sense of identity, you know, and individuality, you know, you don't even have to know the language, just go with the bicycle and show the screen of the phone. So it was interesting for me about the identity and about, you know, sense of freedom. So I right away I see that how the bicycle is still, you know what I mean, a simple object was fundamental for some of them. So you know what I mean. It was just the beginning of everything. You know, the realization that still the bicycle can change some lives. You know.
Ibrahima, for you, what was the process for agreeing to be in the film, and did you know right away that you wanted to be the star of a movie?
Yeah, of course. I was. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this film makes me feel great, I can say, because I have a lot of friends going through this weather thing in Italy, and I know how they feel doing those work, you know. So it was a pleasure to do this movie with Milad. He called me and said that, listen, yeah, I want you to do this movie because I know you can, and thank you, I'm here.
Milad, can you give us a sense of how long it took to shoot the movie, and specifically, were you able to shoot it chronologically?
Yeah, I mean the project took like 6 years, and but the shooting it was 25 days. Yeah, it was I mean not too many days, and you know we couldn't actually shoot it chronologically, but at least we tried to, you know, we never missed before and after the accident when he decides to rob the bicycle. We knew just we couldn't go back and forth between that, so at least we tried to, you know, be really faithful to that point of the story.
Well, as we said at the beginning, you're the first North American audience to see the film, and I know the guys really want some questions from you. So if you have a question, please raise your hands and we'll do our best to get to all of them. Everyone's in complete shock, which I understand because I also was when I first saw the book. Yes.
So it was a beautiful but distressing film. Kind of look at not just Issa's life, but a lot of different vulnerable people who are in this space where they're almost having to, like they're being in these situations where they're violent with each other, they have to take from each other. And Issa, who's literally this messianic figure, is in the sea of bikes that he could take at any time, and he resists the temptation over and over and over. And I'm curious, on the practical side, whether you've seen any hope for this real phenomenon, like the hope for vulnerable people, but also is...
Huge question. If I could just paraphrase. First, big compliments to you, and there are many vulnerable people that we see throughout the film, and at one point, Issa has the opportunity, he's surrounded by many bicycles, and he could make many choices. If I understand correctly, do you see a hope for the future in this difficult situation, which is, of course, reality?
And is Issa's story ends, is that a hopeful ending? Is that a hopeful story?
And the second question is Issa's ending a hopeful story?
Hopeful. I would answer the second one. I mean, begin with that. I don't. No, surely it's not a hopeful story, but you know what I mean. It's kind of a sweet and sour. You know, on one hand, you see him finally away from the asphalt, from the street. You almost never see the sky during the film, unless the last shot when we're on the beach. So on one hand, we find him, you know, in a better environment almost, and he's going on the street. But on the other hand, we see that he's condemned, you know, to carry with himself, you know, what he did, the decisions that he made, the betrayal, and also it's just an insignificant call on the beach is enough, you know what I mean, to break his very thin layer of stability, you know what I mean. So it is not a hopeful ending, but anyway, they couldn't stop him, you know what I mean. He's still going on. He's still, you know, they couldn't stop him. So I think it's a sweet and sour ending, you know what I mean. I mean, he's condemned to live with the terrible decision that he made, you know.
Ibrahim, I'm curious for you if you could tell us what was the most difficult scene for you to shoot in the film?
Yeah, I would say the one we should talked about at the beginning, yeah. At the market, yeah. Because it was early in the morning, around 5 o'clock, I think so. So I was a little bit, tired, but with like 100 people staring at you at the street, you running like I almost won all Italy, you know. So running the rescue, yeah. But it was good. It was fantastic. It's a lot of running. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. It was very good.
Yes.
Hi, so I have two questions. So, I really enjoyed the film, and after that person whose bike he stole, after the person seemed to have passed, and then he went and collected his stuff, and he was walking along that bridge, and then we saw the water. All I kept thinking is, I hope he's not gonna take his life. And I'm just wondering, I'm curious, because I know there's probably lots of incidents where people are just so desperate, where they come to a foreign country and they're trying so hard. He was so ambitious, he never gave up. As soon as he was fired, he started looking a job like minutes later. And then to have all these misfortunes happen. Are there cases where people like, you know, his character have committed suicide?
Oh, it's a very difficult question. I don't know, perhaps a question coming up to you. When you were doing so much research on the many people that are represented in the story, did you find particular cases where people did take their lives?
You know, basically, I mean, this is my first fiction film, you know what I mean? So coming from the documentary, I'm really obsessed about the research and about the plausibility of the universe that you're creating, especially when you're, you know, dealing with these kind of stories and themes. You know, you have to know that this is a delicate territory. So I can say that more than 90% of the stuff that is in the film I saw with my hand or somebody told it. So this is really what I found out during the research. I will say that, of course, I mean, especially the ones that are waiting deportation, you know what I mean? I mean, because before doing this film, I did a short virtual reality film in Turin prison, you know? And there are also mistaken identity cases, and I just wanted to say, okay, I made a mistake and I finished here, but let me tell you how it happened. You know what I mean? Maybe this is the backstory of some of the things that I saw there. So in that prison and in that centers for deportation, yes, unfortunately, the rate of suicide is very much high, especially in Turin prison, which I did the research.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Thank you. Yes.
Did you always know what the ending was going to be? Did you struggle to write it or to go through with it?
Great question. Did you always know how the film would end, and did you struggle to write it?
Yes, actually. I mean, it was with producers. There were discussions that that maybe we should have an opening and ending and don't communicate exactly what he has decided. But I thought, personally, I thought one should have the courage to declare what he has done. You know what I mean? And just it should. You have the courage and he makes a terrible mistake, you know what I mean? But for me personally, that is the moment that he becomes a whole human being. Maybe before that he's just an immigrant. But then with that horrible choice, you can see that he's just a human being as anybody else with the zone of light and shadow. So I think it was fundamental to see what he has done and what he has decided in the ending,
I think it's so interesting to screen this film, especially in Canada, which is a country of so many immigrants and refugees. I came here as a refugee. There are probably many people that did the same in this room. And I wonder, you talk about universal storytelling, and I wonder, was it at the forefront of your mind for the film to be universal? Did you want it to be reached by many audiences, or were you really looking to tell one specific thread?
I mean, yes, basically, and the title also, shows our intention. Of course, it's the slogan of the delivery company, but on the other hand, it's the core of the neorealism's political message, or also the story of a desperate man trying to survive is the story of anywhere, anytime. So also the essentiality of the elements and the bicycle, the simplicity of it, you know what I mean? It's just indicated the role, it should be a timeless story,
I would also be remiss to not talk about the music in the film, because it's even in your bio, you're a musician as well. I know how much music means to you. Can you talk about some of these specific choices of songs that you took?
Sure. Music, I come from a music background, and music is the first things that comes for me, even before the screenplay. And also in the screenplay, the choices were written exactly on the scenes, my idea was to use this marvelous Afro-Cuban jazz of late 60s and 70s from Senegal and Ethiopia and other countries, because on one hand, the jazzy sound, is familiar for the Western audiences, but on the other hand, it has just marvelous African color and the sounds in that music that, goes to the origins of the character. And I thought maybe mixing that music with our streets or with the Western streets, I just wanted to create a sense of alienation, just take away the familiarity of those streets and take away the familiarity of stories about immigrants, you know what I mean? Just maybe don't go for it had to be a strong choice, and that the music had to participate in giving him the voice, you know what I mean? That he's the master of the streets of this story,
speaking of giving Ibrahima the voice, it's all the time we have, but I really do want to give you the opportunity to share any last words or any message for the audience.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for having me here, and I want to spread this news in this world, you know, because we are living in a world where everyone used to blame each other, you know. So we live in a world where it's one country. This world is one country, you know, because it doesn't matter which race are you, which religion are you, which I don't know, etc. So I just want to say this. Maybe news to the audience and the whole world. Thank you.
The film is still screening tomorrow. I think it might be sold out, but tell your friends, tell your family, and go for that tip.net/show. I want to thank you both so much for being here, for your artistry, for your